Hey, what's up, guys? It's Apollo Uchiha here, back with a new video. Today's part is what if Naruto was the fifth Hokage. I'm not feeling that much well, but I'll try to cover out the story because I'm also getting tired of this story and I want to finish it as soon as possible. For the sake of the story, yeah, I'm going to upload it today. If you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And without further ado, let's continue our story. Oh, did you guys hear? Konoha has a new Hokage, and get this, it's Minato and Kushina's kid at that. His name was Naruto, I think, yeah. He turned around from his seat in the bar like everyone else as they listened to the head cloud joining, as he brought news from the council chambers. It had only been a few months since the death of his father, the third Raikage. Everyone had assured him that the title of fourth Raikage would be his no matter how long the Shinobi Council deliberated on the matter. He, like everyone else in the bar, was in a state of shock. They had all known the Yellow Flash had a kid. No matter how long Konoha had tried to hide the fact, they had seen the boy during the Chunin exam, and the feudal lords and clients had spread the word of the last Uzumaki boy. It wasn't very hard for the ninja to connect the dots that the boy with his late mother Kushina Uzumaki. If you had ever heard anything about Kushina, then you would know three things right away. One was that Kushina was not a woman to be messed with, unless you were suicidal. Two was that she harbored an intense love for Minato and a burning hate for any women trying to get her man. And lastly, three, Kushina screamed at the top of her lungs that she and Minato were having a child. Truth to be told, that was when everyone living and dead found out that she was the loudest woman in the history of the human world. Now, when she ran from village to village telling everyone the wonderful news in which Konoha, Anbu, and Minato had tried to stop her, they were all extremely worried. But then came the unexpected Kyuubi attack and the death of both mother and father. The world had mourned for them and yet celebrated the death of both. Hey, don't look at them like that. They were enemies of Konoha at that time, after all. It wouldn't be for another 12 years that the world would hear from another Uzumaki. The tale of Naruto Uzumaki, savior of wave, had spread like wildfire throughout the ninja world. The villages had grown worried since they knew no orphan kid would just be named Uzumaki without a good reason. They had all done digging and found out that the kid was born on the very day his parents died, and that he was the Cubist Jinchuriki. Well, obviously, duh. It would be a few months after the boy's saving of Wave that he reappeared as gossip again for his supposed battle against Orochimaru in the middle of the Chunin exams. Though they had all brushed that aside as gossip, they had gotten a rude awakening to the boy's growing power when he defeated Neji Yuga, a supposed prodigy within the Yuga clan, and later the same day Gara of the Desert, the Jinchuriki of Shukaku. They did more digging and found out that he was indeed the son of Minato and Kushina. So the village had grown wary of the battling Konoha. It would be another 2 months when the rumor of the boy defeating Orochimaru alongside the other two Sanin would surface. They had all taken the rumor more seriously since seeing the boy in the Chunin exams. So now, with the news of the kid becoming Hokage, they were shocked but not surprised. So the brat really is just as powerful as his parents then. I wonder if those other rumors are true. One of the Kumo ninja in the bar said as A only grunted down his sake. Well, I hope not. It'd be tough dealing with a kid that had Kushina's chakra chains and the elemental star abilities. Another ninja said as A stood up. The kid's nothing special. I'll crush him just like his dad, if I ever get a hold of him. A exclaimed as one of the nearby ninjas coughed. You couldn't even scratch or catch Minato, A-sama. What makes you think this kid isn't faster? The ninja said as A turned to him. Because F, his father was a failure, and this kid will be too. A snapped as A sighed. Let it go, A. The kid's got nothing to do with that. F said solemnly as A glared at the man, while the rest of the bar grew silent. The whole reason we pulled out the third war was because that bastard Minato was supposed to be the savior of the world, but where is he, our savior now? Dead in a grave with his wife while his child is playing Kage. Jiraiya told us that Minato was supposed to be the child of prophecy, but the only one I see is dead one. A shot as the other in the bar lowered their heads, their spirits damped as A stomped out of bar. When the time comes, I'll test that brat myself. If he's our real savior, then he'll live to fight another day. We'll put our titles on the line. But if he is not our Messiah, then as the fourth Raikage, which by the time I will be, I'll crush him and Konoha and become the light myself. A exclaimed as he walked out, small smile on the face of the people inside the bar. A-sama is gonna test the kid, huh? We better hope he ain't dull then. The ninja next to F said as F nodded with a smile on his own. Yeah, Darby. We better hope not. F said as one pair of eyes locked onto the two, writing down some lyrics that had just come to the mind. Link break. Back in Konoha. How bothersome. I was hoping to avoid conflict since this was supposed to be a simple spy mission. Tell me, how did you discover me? Sasori said in a gruff voice of his Hiriko puppet. You didn't even bother to conceal your chakra signature. There are only three puppet users in the history of Konoha. Your chakra is sharp and perfect controlled, to the point that I just couldn't help but take notice of it. It's perfect for medical techniques. Sonata said as Hiriko had nodded. Truth is that I have no talent for medical ninjutsu, so I didn't bother with anything more than the basics of it. I do, however, love learning about the human body. Let me show you. Sasori said as Hiriko's mouth opened, only to fire off a barrage of poison needles. Tsunade! Jiraiya said as he flashed through a hand sign. Tsunade had already jumped to his side as his hair came around them and hardened into a protective barrier. Well, that didn't work, Sasori said as he stopped firing, conversing needles for later in the battle. Jiraiya opened his hair barrier as Tsunade shot forward, only to jump to the side to avoid getting poisoned by the kunai from Hiriko. She brought up her heel and let a quick kick to stop another one of stabbing her. Making the kunai spin in the middle of the air, she spun around and kicked the kunai back at Hiriko as the tail from the puppet battled the kunai away. Do it! Tsunade shouted as Sasori grew silently confused. Huh? Sasori said as he checked all around him, only to find Jiraiya coming down at him with a Rasengan in his head. Damn! Sasori said as he moved his puppet's tail at high speed, catching Jiraiya in its grasp only to throw him at Tsunade, who begrudgingly catch him. Damn, are you heavy, Jiraiya? Damn it! Tsunade said as she dropped him to the ground. Hey, I resent that! Jiraiya muttered as he got up. Everyone back to where they were. Link break. So, before I die, how about a little art show? Deidara said as he slowly rose to his feet. Naruto raised a brow as Yamato got into a stance. Art show? Naruto asked as he fully unsheathed his blade. Yes, you see, I'm an artist. I travel the world showing everyone I encounter my special brand of art. Deidara said as he reached a hand into his pouch, only for his eyes to widen as Naruto's blade was at his throat. When had the kid moved? Damn it. I find that hard to believe, but I'm curious. Show me this art of yours before I loop off your head. Deidara said as Naruto said as Deidara got out some clay. It's just clay, my dear Hokage-sama. Sir, I told you, I'm an artist, not a fighter. Deidara said with a grin as Naruto backed up a bit, but Yamato stayed on guard. Deidara cupped his hands together and moved them around, shaping the clay. He uncapped his hands to show Naruto and Yamato small clay butterfly, as Naruto simply smiled lightly. That's very beautiful. Naruto said honestly as Deidara smiled back. Thank you, Hokage-sama. You are the second person to ever say something like that to me. Now watch this. Deidara said as he formed a hand sign. The small butterfly began to flap its wings and take a flight. It flew to Naruto and around his head a few times before it landed on a finger gently. My, that is very impressive indeed. Naruto said curiously as to how Deidara had gotten the clay animal to move. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Deidara said as the clay butterfly flew back to him. He cupped his hands together and the butterfly became bigger and more detailed as Naruto watched Deidara closely. A gift from me to you, Hokage-sama. Deidara said as butterfly gently floated over to him. Right when it was in front of his face, it began to glow. Yamato's eyes widened as he moved to reach his Hokage, but he won't make it in time. Pretty. Naruto said before the butterfly exploded in his face. Hokage-sama! Yamato shouted out as he saw the explosion take place. Art is an explosion, Deidara said with a grin as the young Kage was engulfed in boom. Link break. This is getting tedious. We're not getting anywhere, and none of us are striking to kill. So why don't you just let me go? Sasori drawled as Jiraiya grinned. So who are you anyway? Jiraiya asked, completely ignoring Sasori as Tsunade narrowed her eyes. Jiraiya, that's not his true appearance. It's a puppet shell. You already seen that it's got plenty of traps and functions. If even one of its many weapons nicks your skin, you'll die from the poison. Each of them have and own them, I guess. Tsunade said as Sasori narrowed his eyes inside Hiriko. How did you find out all of that? Sasori asked as Tsunade smirked at him. I saw the jaw contraption when you attacked us in the first place. Then from there, when you launched those kunais at us, when I had kicked the first, I saw a small amount of poisons coming out of it and into the air. You're a puppeteer, so I made the assumptions that you use poisons, and since that scorpion tail came out just to stop Jiraiya, I knew that wasn't your real body. You're shown me a lot in just the short time. Tsunade said as Sasori's eyes widened at her detection. Jiraiya simply regarded the stoic puppeteer warily after hearing the words he hated so much, poison. Jiraiya trailed off, feigning fright as he suddenly burst into action, releasing a volley of shurikens. Tsunade merely lifted her foot and impacted the ground, making a large amount of earth, some up to which she kicked at Sasori's puppet. Sasori completely ignored the shuriken flying at him, merely shifting the position of his puppet to so they hit armor rather than the joints. The puppet's tail shot out a great metallic tip, moving with undue speed, flashed in front of him, destroying chunks of earth that was sent at him. It broke right through it and kept going. Jiraiya jumped in front of Tsunade and blocked the poison tip with his hand guards. Before Sasori could pull back, Tsunade grabbed the tail and ripped it from the puppet. Sasori had heard many tales of Tsunade's strength, but for her to rip apart steel ball bearings, that was monstrous even for her. Tsunade threw the tail away as Jiraiya picked her up and spun in place, throwing her lowly at Sasori, who was still in shock. He got over his shock as he was seeing her coming at him. How foolish. I can see through your play, Sanin, Sasori said as he launched a hail of poison needles towards Tsunade. Tsunade spun in mid-air as the needles came at her, impacting her fist against the ground to send herself into the higher air. Sasori didn't even bat an eyelash at the move as his needles continued towards Jiraiya, who was made to dodge them in a rather comical manner. Sasori, while Jiraiya was distracted, took the opening and sent his tail at Tsunade, who was in mid-air and no way of dodging. The tail impaled her through the midsection as Jiraiya and her both showed great surprise at her even being touched. Before Sasori could do anything else, however, he felt the bottom of Yuriko begin to crack from some sort of attack. The giant puppet Yuriko jumped away just as the figure burst from the ground, their first having already impacted the bottom of a large puppet. The puppet underbelly began to crack and fall out as Sasori ejected himself to the right side of the cave. Shrouded in a black cloak, Tsunade landed next to Jiraiya, dirt-ridden and out of the breath. Jiraiya grinned and then he noticed something. Tsunade was cut. Tsunade was cut. He scanned the area and saw that there was, in fact, a small needle near where Tsunade had bursted from the ground. Tsunade, Jiraiya said, building his chakra as Tsunade nodded. I know, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. Tsunade replied as Jiraiya shook his head. I can't do anything to him without you at my side, but there has to be something you can do about that. Jiraiya said as Tsunade clutched at her side where the cut was. It was small, and if not for the poison racing through her, then she would have healed it before she had ever reached the ground again. Tell me, how did you do that? Sasori said, just as he remained from the mud clone fell to the ground near his Yuriko puppet. The puppet itself disappeared in a show of smoke as Sasori sealed it away, wanting to make repairs and improvement for later. The moment my first fist impacted the ground to shoot me in the air, you lost sight of me due to the uprooted earth. That was when I made the clone and started digging. Tsunade said as the cloaked Sasori nodded, seeing the genius of the plan. Exactly what I expect from the Sanin, though I can still tell none of us are fighting at our full capacities. Sasori said as he threw the black cloak away to reveal himself. Jiraiya and Tsunade gasped upon seeing his face, but then they both burst into laughter while Sasori eyebrow twitched. Ha! It's just old Lady Chiho's grand boy. I thought we had some revealed trouble like the old bat herself. Tsunade laughed out as Jiraiya slapped his knee. I thought it was old man Hamura's son. Oh boy, thank Kami it's just little Sasori Poo here. Jiraiya said as Sasori's face contorted into annoyance. What the hell is so funny? I'm more dangerous than either of those relics, especially that decrepit old hag that calls herself my grandmother. Both of them pale in comparison to my skills in puppet arts. Sasori yelled as neither two stopped laughing. Listen, kid, you might wanna just give up now because you are nowhere near old enough to stand a chance against both of us. You poisoned me and it's damn hard using my chakra to keep it from really affecting me, but I got about 20 to 30 years on you in the use of poisons and cures. I did beat your granny after all, Tsunade said with a mocking wink at the end, and Sasori fumed. I don't care if you beat the old bat. I'm surpassing her years ago. Sasori yelled out as he reached into his Akatsuki cloak and got out a scroll. I'll show you now. He revealed the scroll to show the symbols for three on it, and in a cloud of smoke brought out a big puppet that hovered in mid-air right over his shoulder him. The puppet looked human-like beside the lines on his face that clearly made it a point that he was a puppet with his casual lines used to open and close a mouth. He was covered in rags, his arms had various incisions as if they had opened, while Tsunade and Shiraya was slack-jawed and wide-eyed at the sight of his puppet, mainly because they knew who it was and what it meant for him to be in possession of it. Sasori threw over the remains of his Yuriko puppet and frowned. It wasn't completely destroyed, just the bottom of it. He didn't really think anyone would be crazy enough to go under a deadly weapon that only laid a foot or so off the ground. But then again, she was a Sani. Thankfully, it was not so much damaged and can be repaired, while human puppet's parts were hard to become by because he was the only one who could make them. That on top of they were incredibly hard to repair, even for him. Still, he had reasons to repair them and make his pride and joy better. The Slug Princess had shown him that his battle strategy and one of his favorite puppets had a major weakness in them. When he got out of this battle and back to the base, hopefully he was definitely going to add some defense attachments to the belly of Yuriko. He did know one thing though. He couldn't use such a strategy against this puppet. Tsunade and Jiraiya both gasped at the realized puppet for a moment before recovering their composure. Even they, the two of the legendary Sanin, had to admit that killing a Kage, any Kage level ninja, was a tough battle that no one would know the outcome of ahead of the time. So for them to see this puppet and know who it was made of from, well, they knew that Sasori couldn't simply be captured for interrogation anymore. He had to die because kidnapping, killing, and making a puppet out of a Kage level ninja, especially the strongest Kazekage of all time, was not something they took lightly of. The boy was on a whole another level than his granny. The third Kazekage, huh? Haven't seen that face in a long time, eh, Tsunade? Jiraiya said as he shook his head with a boyish grin. Tsunade chuckled beside him as she cracked her knuckles, knowing the ready battle and the real battle was about to begin. No, Jiraiya, I haven't. It's been about 20 years since the world in whole has last seen him, but here we are, face to face with his stuffed corpse. So, human puppets, huh, kid? That's Tsunade said as she lowered her head, but then brought it back up to give Sasori a hard glare. Despicable. Say what you like, Lady Tsunade, but I find it now state a true work of art. Sasori said as he moved the puppet slightly so it rested on his shoulder like a trophy wife. Art. Kid, suffering squirrels is one thing, but to do it to your own species is another. Though I suppose as ninja it is not in the top 10 of bad things. Hell, maybe not even in the top of 100. Jiraiya said as he shrugged his shoulders. Thinking it's over, Tsunade shrugged as well because Jiraiya was right. The kid wasn't even a tenth as bad as their former teammate. I wish we didn't have to kill you here, kid, because I'd love the chance to compare notes with you about that human puppet of yours. Tsunade said as she racked her hand through her hair with a sigh. Now that I think about it, it's a pretty good thing, ninja-wise anyways. Thank you both, but that wouldn't stop me from killing you, Sasori said with a slight smirk, but that didn't last long when a giant toad landed atop him and his puppet. Wow, how the hell did he not see that coming? Jiraiya said as Tsunade shrugged. The giant toad dispelled to reveal a black dome of sort where Sasori and his puppet had been. Impossible to have survived the weight of bringing down the house jutsu toad. That one toad weighs more than a small village, Jiraiya said as the dome slowly broke apart to show a pissed off Sasori. Okay, now I'm mad, Sasori said as he shrugged off his puppet, launched it at them. They were so dead now. Here it comes, Jiraiya said, getting into a battle stance. I can see it, Jiraiya. Tsunade said, getting into her own. Link break. Sakura watched as his son battled sorcery of the Red Sand. She knew of him from the Konoha's criminal history class at the academy. Apparently, sorcery was a rather skilled puppeteer, but he felt like Suna was holding him back. He was said to be very skilled, and now she was seeing him fight against the last two loyal Sonins. Even though she knew they could win, she wasn't sure how long it would be before that poison affected Lady Tsunade. Even now, as she hid in the bush at the edge of the water, she could tell from the far away Tsunade was dodging the puppet that the woman was trying very hard to show she wasn't affected. Sakura's eyes widened dramatically as she saw that Tsunade was being led into a trap, while Shira was dodged the iron sand ability of the third Kazekage puppet. Tsunade was doing the same and evading the puppet itself. She had to do something. She hastily pulled out a kunai and steeled her nerves. She needed to help Lady Tsunade. Sasori was just standing back and watching as his plan unfolded itself. At first, he had decided to kill Jiraiya and with his poison since the man was the main fighter, but that plan died within the first second since the man started moving faster and more gracefully than before. Sasori had then switched tactics and gone for Tsunade. The woman might be able to hold off his poison and cut their current levels, but if he pumped her full of more, she'd be in greater danger. Plus, after he escaped from this damn village, he'd be sure to get straight. He'll be sure to get started on poison, which no medic, not even this damn slug princess herself, would be able to cure. Guys, apart from the story, thunderclouds are racing outside. Damn it, that scared me. Anyways, back to the story. He couldn't easily see her getting closer and closer to her death as the tail of Yuriko slowly rose up into the sky and took its position, so she'd be impaled on its scorpion tail, and he could then crush the toad sage with the iron sand full power. Yes, the woman was in place. Time to spring the trap. Now you're dead, Sasori yelled as he chucked a hand back. The third Kazekage puppet rushing forward as Tsunade kunai clashed against its bladed mechanisms. The puppet pushed her back a bit, but that was all that was needed as the tail of Yuriko came shooting out at her. A clanging sound was heard as a pink hair passed near Tsunade. Tsunade turned around to the source of the sound as she punched the third Kazekage away. Behind her was the little pink-haired girl she saw when she had healed Sasuke Uchiha. The girl was holding back that tail she had ripped off earlier. She had wondered where that went, but she could think of that later on now. Girl, what the hell are you doing here? All known Johnny ninjas and higher were sent inside their homes. Get the hell out of here, girlie, Tsunade yelled as Sakura pushed off the tail and stood ready. It wasn't that she ungrateful for the girl saving her, but still, I'm sorry, Lady Tsunade, and you can tell Naruto to punish me later, but I want to stay and fight. I'm not the weak little girl anymore. I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines while Naruto and Sasuke do all the fighting. I can't help, Sakura said as Tsunade stared at the girl in wonder, remembering a time long since past. Link break. Flashback. Sarutobi-sensei, I'm not a little girl anymore. I can fight too, Tsunade said as Sarutobi sighed, smoke blowing out as he did so from his smoking pipe. That may be true, but you will not. These intruders are after you as the granddaughter of the first Hokage and grandniece of the second. It would be unwise to allow you to do battle simply because the others are getting hurt to protect you, Sarutobi said as Tsunade pouted and crossed her arms. Both of them were inside of a bunker with Sarutobi as the third Hokage being the final defense against the waterfall and cloud intruders. But Orochimaru and Jiraiya are out there risking their lives. Why do I have to stay here? I can protect myself, Sensei. Tsunade shouted, tears in her eyes as she thought the worst would happen to the only family she had left, her team. They fight to keep you safe and to be sure you are never in this state again. Isn't that right? Sarutobi said as he opened the metal bunker door to reveal completely battle-worn and torn Jiraiya and Orochimaru, both keeping each other up by hanging on the shoulders. Jiraiya, Orochimaru. Yeah, Sarutobi-sensei. Right, Tsunade-chan will always protect you. Now maybe you'll go out with me. Jiraiya said through ragged breath as he fainted to the door. The Morin is right, Tsunade. You are our teammate, our family. I'll protect you with my life, little sister. Orochimaru said, though keeping himself composed, he too collapsed right next to Jiraiya. You see, Tsunade, they wish to protect and keep you safe, because they are more than your teammates. They're like everyone else in the village and your family. They are your brothers, and they will always want to protect you. Sarutobi said as Tsunade stared at the unconscious form of her teammates. No, her brothers. She corrected herself. End of the flashback. Girlie, Tsunade said, not knowing the girl's name. It's Sakura, Sakura Haruno, Lady Tsunade, Sakura said as Tsunade blinked, but then nodded with a smile. The girl had guts, if nothing else. Before either of them could react, the tail sped forward and wrapped itself tightly around Sakura. Sakura! Tsunade screamed out as the tail jerked away when she tried to punch it. The thing seemed to move with a mind of its own as it hopped and slithered away from both Tsunade and Jiraiya in their attempts to rescue the screaming pink-haired girl. Sasori was finding himself greatly amused by the scene in front of him. Him, the greatest puppeteer master of all times, making two of the legendary Sanin run about like fool behind a wooden tail which he was controlling. Yes, today was a great. Sasori eyed widen as a blur appeared behind him. He didn't get the chance to turn and see who it was as the person started striking him at his chakra points. Sasori jumped away from the person could strike them all. It was good thing puppeteers could reopen their chakra points, or else he would have been in trouble. Damn it! Who the hell are you now? Sasori asked as he made the tail and girl come to his side as he moved away from everyone else's. Yashi Yuga, Lord of the Yuga clan, and this is my nephew, Neji Yuga, prodigy of the Yuga clan. Yashi said with a small bow of respect, with Neji did the same. It will be a pleasure to assist in your defeat today, Sasori, of the Red Sun, kidnapper and killer of the third Kazekage. Neji said as he slipped into the gentle fist stance alongside his echo. Everyone stay back or the girls die. Sasori said as he flexed his index finger, making the stinger of the tail resting against Sakura's neck. The Slug Princess may have been able to survive this long by speeding up the white blood cells production process and creating a natural vaccine in her body. But does this girl have to go through the same experience? She doesn't have the skill. Does she? I think not. Sasori finished with a smirk as Tsunade glared at him, and Jiraiya gritted his teeth while the two Yugas grew more rigid in their stance. Now let's play a game, Sasori said as he outstretched his other hand and sent the third Kazekage to do the battle with him. Today was becoming fun, Link. My. Certainly you're a troublesome one, Hokage-sama. Deidara gasped as he could feel his neck about to snap under the pressure of the boy's grasp on it. Really now, because people have been saying it my entire life, Naruto said as Deidara grinned at him. How did they get to this point, you may ask? It was directly after the explosion that Yamato started battling out with Deidara. Yamato, while using several earth and water style jutsus, hoping to catch Deidara off guard when he suddenly used a wood clone jutsu. Before they even got to the point in the battle, Naruto had burst out of the roof and caught the guy by the neck, hoping to snap it as he gazed at the man coolly. Naruto didn't much like the grin that Mad Bomber had on, so he snapped the guy's neck like a toothpick. Before he could try anything, imagine their surprise when the guy turned a grayish white and became clay. Yamato's eyes widened as the clay started glowing. Oh brother, Naruto said before the thing exploded in his grasp. Coming out of the same hole Naruto had, Deidara dusted himself off as Yamato glared at him. Whoa, you think he'd be smarter than to actually think I'd let him strangle me, don't ya? Deidara said as he grinned at him. I'm gonna kill you, Yamato said furiously as he went through 3 hand signs. No need, I'll do it first. A calm voice cut through the air. Deidara and Yamato's eyes widened when out of the smoke explosion came a completely unharmed Naruto with his sword already in mid-air, swinging to a loop of Deidara's head. Back down the rabbit's hole, Deidara shouted as he fell backwards. Naruto's katana passing over his head, cutting his bang of blonde hair as he fell into the hole head first. Naruto went through a few hand signs as he took a deep breath and held it. Fire style, fire flame jutsu. The flame blew out heated flames that went down the hole, coming up the other from where he had first been. But not before Deidara had jumped out and high into the air. Deidara twisted his body as he landed atop his already prepared clay bird from earlier. He soared around Naruto and Yamato as he looked down at them. Hokage-sama, how did you keep doing that, Yamato said as he stepped beside his Kage. Shadow clones, Yamato. I'm able to switch with them in the blink of an eye because they are me. Naruto said, not taking his eyes off the bird as Yamato looked at him with awe, remembering another time on the battlefield. Link break. Flashback. Hokage-sama, how are you able to go through that fields of paper bombs? That should have been impossible. A younger Chunin Yamato asked as Minato patted his head with a smile. My Hirashin Jutsu allows me to move in instantaneous speed from one seal matrix to another. One moment I'm there, and the next moment I could be here. It's like I've always been standing here, Minato said as Kushina knocked him over his head. Idiot, don't give away your techniques, Kushina revered as Minato chuckled. Yeah, well, we best get back to the base anyways. End of the flashback. Yamato, stand back, Naruto said evenly as he stepped to the railing of the Hokage mansion, snapping Yamato out of his thoughts. What are you doing, Hokage-sama? Yamato asked as Naruto turned back to him, a small smile on his face that let Yamato know that he was both safe and that he had asked a really stupid question. Whatever it takes to protect my village, as it adds its Hokage, Naruto said, standing on the railing. Link break. Let me out, you insufferable woman. Naruto's out there fighting those people who work with my brother. I need to help him kick their asses, Sasuke said as he pounded on his front door, trapped inside his own house, while chuckles could be heard from the shadows. No can do, Sasu boy. Kage-sama's order were to keep every genin, civilian and academy student within the homes. The Chunins are patrolling the streets and the Jonins of all ranks are on standby to help on the battle. She said as she rose from the shadows, clad in all of her Anbu gear. So what? I don't care about his stupid orders. The Morin is gonna get himself killed. I have to go. I need to help him. Sasuke said as Inuisha sighed and sat on the wooden floor, patting the spot next to her for him to sit. He crossed his arms, thankful that in the privacy of his own home, he could pout and do childish things that he can't do outside. Listen, young Padawan, Hokage-sama is doing everything he can to keep all of you safe. The only genin that got out of it was the Yuga prodigy kid, and he's there to help the Sanin to close up things alongside his clan head. Something about the Haruno girl being caught. Whatever else Inoishi was going to say found itself suddenly cut off by seven things all in a split second. The first was the sound of a chirping bird, the second was the sound of a blue lightning in the palm of Sasuke's hand and as he shot at the door. The third was the resulting explosion Sasuke's Chidori caused as it made contact with said door. The fourth was the disappearance of the said boy as he hopped off into a out of sight. Inoishi blinked as she shrugged and struggled to make sense of the situation, but found it that she couldn't. For a genin to break through an Anbu level barrier seal was something nearly impossible, but having known Sasuke for his entire life, she knew she should have expected this sort of from him. So there was only one thing left in her thoughts. Was it something I said? She asked herself as she blinked again, getting up and falling after the boy to be sure he wouldn't die, because she knew if he did then she'd be next. Link break. Kabuto, call forth the sound for I have an assignment for them, Orochimaru said, gritting his teeth. It was now time to put his plan into action. As you wish, Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto smirked as he turned away from his master. He scoffed, knowing fully well that he had but one master and he would do anything and everything to serve him well. Orochimaru-sama has a mission for you four, Kabuto said with his smirk still in his place as he adjusted his glasses while gazing into the shadow where four figures were. About damn time, a girl muttered as large figure rose to the full height, easily twice as big as her. Some action, another figure said. This one was male. Amen, a voice spoke, identical nature spoke directly behind him. Then let's not waste any time talking, the big figure said as another dropped his head from where he was on the ceiling. Indeed, the one of the ceiling said with a grin on his face. Kabuto couldn't help but let his smirk grow even wider. Plans were being put in place. The plans of many were now falling into place, but the true plans question was, whose plans would succeed where others will fail? As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I know I quite was sluggish in this one. I guess I kind of not feeling well. Anyways, I hope you like this one. If you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. This is Apollo Chiha and I'm signing out. Peace.